on the toll road, now alternative road for milk toll. Become president, I will renegotiate it. So they pay the people them for complete time, we pay them and they complete it.
We go now to Dr. Samura Kamara.
Thank you. I think the problem we get from my colleagues is to play politics with a development that will transform this country. Both the toll road and the Mama Airport are two major projects that will create opportunities for economic empowerment, that will create serious jobs for our people and move the country further forward so that Sierra Leone will better stand the test of times.
Retired Brigadier Julius Madabio.
Thank you. The toll road is shrouded in secrecy, the agreements and everything, and therefore we need to do a review and also do what we call value engineering for determine whether we get value for waiting we put into that. We also need to do a complete and holistic evaluation of all other infrastructural projects going on, because as far as I'm concerned, most of them are sham, including the Mamama.
Thank you very much. And now we go turn to Alaji Kande Ole Yumkela. And I want to ask you, very interesting, this still then they call Tusim and the diaspora. It don't become big issue. What you go do about this and about the Sierra Leone and the all-winner people that we then call diaspora now?
We don't put on our manifesto. All diasporans, we will immediately move legislation to give them voting rights where they are. Second, we will also work with the judiciary and the parliament to make sure we repeal those areas of our constitution that are discriminatory to diasporans or dual nationals. But I do believe that a president cannot be a dual national.
Alhaji Chief Samuel Samsumana.
The issue of dual citizenship, clearly, one, we know so we'll get a lot of support from with brothers and sisters. Why spite them? When we need them, then support, then therefore we. And the issue of dual citizenship, yes, the Constitution presently quiets it about but we will look it around and make sure so we address wherein the president no get dual citizenship, but therefore be patriotic.
Alhaji Musa Tarawali, you turn.
I believe in the rule of law. We will engage as a nation for create the enabling atmosphere for make with people in the diaspora participate. I will also ensure that we get mobile facility where they go left overseas and they process them passports and ID cards without coming here. If we bring with people closer and include them in the development process.
Dr. Samura Kamara.
Thank you. I think personally, in my years in managing the affairs of this country, I don't see the advantage of having the diaspora family-footed, providing resources and contribute to economic development. Fortunately, there is a constitutional provision which is diverse, also different from Dual Citizens Act. What I will do is try to create an enabling environment whereby the diaspora will continue to develop. Certainly, we look at the constitutional provision and provide a more enabling environment.
Retired Brigadier Julius Madabio.
Well, actually, me, I not get double SIM. I always don't be a Sierra Leonean. Although some people don't offload one SIM, but we believe, say, anybody where they out of this country, we're not part of this country, don't they contribute, we for encourage them. We not for use the law as it has been used for discourage them or exclude them from the political processes because they are part of the economy of this country and they contribute immensely. So it is a law that we have to review.
Mr. Mohammed Kamarin Bamansari.
I love this country. I worship this country after God. And I assure you one thing. Nobody not forget 2 SIM or 3 SIM wait for be president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. So whoever get 2 SIM, make it just resign and go wait. The second thing I tell you, as the diaspora, and they give them voting right as president. And the first 90 days, we're going to enact them, Lord and Day.
Alhaji Chief Samuel Sam Sumana. Now I go read this here small by English.
Again.
Existing investment. Oh no, you don't talk about diaspora? Yes. Existing investment agreements between government and companies contain duty waivers, exemptions, and tax holiday provisions for companies. This has resulted in severely reduced financial benefits for the state from the exploitation of our natural resources. What would you do differently with respect to large-scale investment in natural resources if you win power?
First of all, we as a nation endowed natural resources. But for far too long, we don't eat the crumb, don't eat the remnants. This time around, we have to make sure, under this coalition for change, that the beneficiation also stays in Sierra Leone. No more for we go to the 3%, but more to it. And also, we will enforce then companies for do added value to them product, and so that will create jobs for youth then at this country.
So we'll turn now to Dr. Samura Kamara of the All People's Congress.
I think two things. The first one is, what do you do to attract quality investment? And secondly, how do you ensure that this investment is to the benefit of the country? Certainly, there are various areas where you get for looking at our tax regime. Possible that we have an onerous tax regime. But secondly, and more importantly, we ourselves as a nation must be quite prepared to discuss with investors so that you have a profitable investment environment.
Thank you very much. Now we'll turn now to retired Brigadier General Padabio.
Well, definitely we don't benefit from the vast natural resources we'll get, because we not only make proper arrangement for we own share as a country, and for make sure say the communities that we suddenly pull then minerals there, themselves also get. So we get for make sure say we put farm laws in place. We go make sure say the communities in this country at large get waiting they forget from every activity we involve minerals.
Mr. Mohamed Kamarimba Mansari.
You know, it hurts me when we talk about taxes. All the mining companies then combined, the revenue, the tax the way they pay to government, all of them is less than waiting Airtel, Orange, they pay. It's sickening, unacceptable. As president, we not go get a Sierra Leone for the selected few, but now for every Sierra Leone made them benefit from we resources.
Now we go now to you, Dr. Akande Kole-Yumkela.
A report come out where show say in 2011 and 2012, this economy lost 240 million just in duty waivers and also all kinds of incentives. This was more than what we spent on both education and healthcare. When I come in, we'll review those tax holidays. Second, we will make sure the areas where these resources are, they benefit more than the 0.1% that is given to them.
Okay, we'll go to the next round now. And I think before we go to this, we'll go just get a quick one, Alhaji Musa Ali. Sorry.
This happened because we not get scientific records on the value of natural resources. I go do geospatial survey, get scientific records, we go strengthen we as a government or negotiate from a position of strength. Secondly, I go audit the stock, the operations and sales of the existing mining companies, or make we identify defaulters and get back waiting we don't lose as a nation.
Thank you very much. I don't get all man. I mean, don't get yourself, sir. Yes. Let's just check, sir, I don't miss you. Okay. So we go to the next round now, and before that, we'll play one short clip where they show a snapshot of life in Sierra Leone today.
We get water problem. We have too much from January to February, March now. No get water again. Pass some, then go na the swamp, then go dig. But that digging the back na clay na they come out. Pass we drink ourselves, so then pass them put the close before you drink.
For me get this, but I go to any hospital, then they treat me, then they ask me for anything. They ask me for anything, and then they give me the kind medicine where the complaint I go with, then they give me the exact medicine, then they give me the treatment according to me complaint. And I really tell God thank you for the nurses there. Anytime you go, you meet nurses, they're accurate and active on duty.
I make I say the losses na beaucoup pass the profit, because sometimes I can see like I can don't get like 50,000 profit, but tell them machine and bug machine poil. Then beside we not get lights here, and I feel at the buy, and the cost of the fuel 1 liter is 7,000 yuans, and maybe sometimes I know they get fund up to even reach 15 or even 20. You see, so I make I say well the losses is beaucoup pass the profit.
Total block na made because we not get permanent school building, so need school building because when it's season they come and the community then take and make a fit for say for make them go able to give a building. So now make Uber could say the only way we go able for help them, pass we go take them block them and go there for them.
There are lots of changes. Some are positive changes, some are negative. The positive changes, there are some learning, there are some improvements in learning, really. But the negative changes, the teaching, the supplies of teaching and learning materials has dropped. Because since I started teaching, in the school that I was teaching, children we have at least 3 to a reader, but now we are supplied at 1 reader to a class, and we the teachers take the constraints to write on the blackboard. I want that shift system to be completely abolished. Then secondly, that we should have enough teaching and learning materials. You see these children, when they have the materials, when they see things, they remember. But we only teach in abstracts.
I appeal to whosoever get for can as the president after the election. I appeal to her for making them go continue for improve on the free health care more and more, so that the system not go die down, neither it go fade away, it will continue for day on and on. And
because try for keep money for develop, but machine and bug, so pass until that money reformer. So me if you like say I go extend this business. This not going to be bad for I will extend this business, and this business, if like they are, I will turn it as concrete, I will put here even still do much by God the power. So now lights we want now this community. Then
I appeal to any government where they can empower for making put in food support for the road maiden. Because the road, if we get the road in the country, find the road in the country, I hope so we not get traffic.
Me dream here for be, after I don't achieve my education. For be member of parliament, for be I get the right for be mayor, I get the right for be liable work na education field, for liable get me aunt to mouth, liable do for me family.
As for me, I go want to go able to be the biggest doctor inside Salon.
That was a snapshot of life in Sierra Leone today, and it illustrates the most important resource that our country has and the challenges they face. And that resource is, of course, the people. Therefore, tonight, we will start looking at your plans for human development. Here, we would like to examine how you plan to tackle issues such as health and education, housing and water. You have 2.5 minutes, and we'll start on health and education. Alhaji Musa Tarawale.
The health sector key to the development of every nation. We have to support our health sector development locally. And to achieve this, I will change the road funds to health funds so that every cent derived from the pumping price will support the health sector. I will also bring the EPA under health and sanitation too. Sanitation is a big enterprise. The EPA is making millions of dollars. We have to ensure that the health sector is supported locally, move away from the donor-driven approach as beggars to sustainable development. I will also make sure that we encourage investment in the health sector for produce medicines locally and also for establish an internationally certified training facility for nurses, doctors, and engineers. The world demands a lot of health practitioners. We have the human resource to capacitate. It's a whole investment on its own and a big enterprise. My government will encourage investors to train nurses, doctors, engineers, and open for them the windows to have international jobs. With the monies where we go get for support the health sector, we will also improve on the working conditions, the wages, salary, and accommodation. The nurses, doctors don't prove to be heroes in this country. So therefore, much attention is needed. I think if we support the health sector locally, every other support we will get from bilateral relationships can be additional.
So Alhaji Musa Tarawale, I noticed I asked about health and education, but you're not talking anything about education. That's not important. Your time don't go, but is that not too important?
No, the education is very important. And what I will do to promote education is to encourage faith-based educational system, wherein religious organizations will invest in the educational system.
All right. So for you, you go make religious organization and take over the education system.
As in the West, Harvard University, that the Catholics the owner. In UK, you have a lot of institutions when religious.
Thank you very much, sir. Since you don't exhaust your time, we'll go turn now to Dr. Samura Kamara of the All People's Congress. Health and education, your vision.
Hassan, testimonies at video. These were testimonies that my running mate and I, plus our actually encountered several parts of the store.
We seem to have a problem with your microphone there, and I would just like to pause the proceedings with our apologies again, and we'll start your time again, I think. Can we start 2:30 after we've tested the mic, please? Technical team?
Hello.
Okay, you can start now, sir.
As I was saying, Hassan, these are testimonies that we actually encountered during our campaign tour with my running mates and our colleagues who accompanied us. In many parts of the country, especially in the Samburu Islands, we see the difficulties of water, the difficulties of even communication networks, the difficulties of children deprived of educational institutions. We saw how really even transport facilities were very, very bad in those places. I will tell you, there and then, we started providing support for these people. I feel sorry for them because these are part of the deprived communities, marginalized communities. And I promise them that in our administration, we'll make sure that we bring these people at the center stage. Hence, we have our manifesto for the grassroots. On education, I was reminded by Mr. Abdullahi Fofana of Yagoy village, who informed us that he had a 3-room school where in the morning he will have a primary school and in the afternoon transform it into a secondary school. That is unforgivable, and I think it rings the bell that we must go back to the drawing board and try to improve the livelihoods of these people. Water. In my village, where my father comes from,
we're not carried to water.
In education, I do believe that the youths are longing for quality education, for good careers, and certainly a quality education that will give them guaranteed jobs, not only for Sierra Leone, for the international community at large. And I can see students yearning for the opportunities to have really clean education where we need to look at the integrity of the system, because presently we have a lot of malpractices in the system, examination fraud, etc. We look at the affordability of schools, and we also look at pre-primary and even primary school, and then we move forward.
Dr. Samuel Kamara, you mentioned that when you saw the state or somebody's life during your campaign, you felt it was unforgivable. Who or what will you blame for that?
Well, I blame governments, because governments have a social responsibility to provide for the people. I do that. And that's why going forward, I have to be honest enough to say this will be a topmost priority. And that's why we are factored in our agenda, in our manifesto. We call it the Grassroots Manifesto, which is looking at this human development aspect.
Thank you very much. Let's turn now to retired Brigadier Julius Madabio. Your vision for improving health and education in Sierra Leone.
I will start with education. Education, good for personal development and also national development. The human capital, we the people in this country, now the most important resource we'll get. Sometimes when you ask a Sierra Leonean, they begin count diamond, gold. They're not even sabi waiting a gold, waiting a diamond. But we believe, say, the human beings, then we, the people, constitute the most important asset to this country. But for make we be useful to our country and contribute meaningfully, we need to get education, quality education, gives kids and the knowledge we go make we free for move around the world, become competitive, and also become productive in this modern world. Therefore, the flagship program of my new manifesto, the People's Manifesto, now free education for all kids from primary school to secondary school. A lot of people, they drop out of school because they don't get money for pay the little that they need for pay. Me, don't say I go pay, as a government, we go pay for all kids in primary school, public primary school, and secondary school. Sometimes they say it's very expensive, but I always tell people, they say, for spend by the human being, for me, not expensive. If you want to try ignorance. Ignorance is more expensive than education. Health. You cannot develop without a healthy population. And therefore, we therefore make sure, say, the limited investment we would put into the health sector, we actually develop not only the physical infrastructure, but also the human resource capacity for able to do what we call disease prevention, disease control, and also disease surveillance. We get for make sure say we get the right people for able to do all of the internet in the health sector so that we will get a healthy population for undertake the development aspirations of our country.
Can you flesh out a little bit on what you mean by free education? Does that mean people will not pay fees and anything else?
The free education where they talk about includes they cover pupils from class 1 till and down secondary school. Of course, we did take the SS4 because now a waste of time where the APC bring. This particular program, they cover school fees, books and uniform and other educational materials then. That means they don't get for pay for all of them things then they.
And how much will that cost? How much will that cost?
Say again?
How much will that cost the state?
I'm not getting you.
Okay, my apologies. How much will it cost to provide this free education?
According to the census, school census of 2015, we get 2 million kids we will get for work for. Using a unit price of 380,000 leones, that go amount to 115 billion. And we go able to get that money easily by making sure that excessive tax waivers and tax exemptions are reduced by 50%.
Thank you very much. Mohammed Kamarin Mansari, Health and Education.
Health. You know, our country, our health system is now what the Sierra Leoneans deserve. We people them, they don't deserve waiting it again now, wait and sick. I've been there 10 days there. I've been Tegbema, one village they go, na Bundubu. I meet Okada, one woman sick. A man Olam, the Okada, the Olam for Kerangona Hospital. I get for stop. I say, hey, what's happened with this woman? I said the woman they die. Ambulance no day. Nothing no day for take this woman na hospital. It hurt me. This for 57 years, we'll get independent. Up to now, we they play cook with the people of this country their life. Enough. My administration, I don't talk say we will not even get hospitals in this country. Now a cake clinic they will get. Now make way government officers and sick, they go abroad. Then go take care of themselves. They send them picking them, they wife them and go born abroad. But yeah, we health system na a complete mess. I go change them in 3 weeks when I be president. The second thing, by God in power, I go change most of them policies and they. Education. I be on the talk say, people and they talk just for talk's sake. Again, my colleagues then I they raise my hand. I know when they work for government, we get former ministers there, former vice president, and former head of state. But me, we know one day work for government, one day church, this country money, I they build schools out of me own fund for sure say, picking them education important. So if I build school with me own resources, imagine when I they control the country resources, what I go do. You know, education system in this country, a complete mess. I mean, a total mess and unacceptable. And we they go back to the drawing board. And like we said, don't promise. We they can make sure say no child left behind. And every Pekin, they get quality education and they no go share one answer sheet. 5 Pekin and no go share and again as alone.
So you say you will change the health service, the health sector in this country as soon as you become president, if the people elect you president. How will you change it and how
Absolutely. Soon? One, when we go start, we they give plenty money. In fact, the ambulances we will get before even Ebola in this country. Then less than the motorcade of the president. Then less than the motorcade of the vice president in this country. So what will they do? They can cut 70% of the country, about 70% of the country income. It go towards paying salaries, benefits, and all those lucrative things then for government, top government officers. We they cut that money down, and when we they cut them, we they go try for set things in place.
Okay, and you also say you've been building schools.
System.
How many have you built?
Say that again.
You claim here that you have been building schools.
Yes.
How many?
The second school now they finish with Lankono, when you go put Local District, and there's a town called Mamusa. We get 15 villages. No school, no did it. When I go and meet young people, them they play, my body be they rise. Now I tell them, say, when I give me
all
land,
right,
I build a school, and then none.
So how many schools?
School. But me don't build my second school now.
How many schools have you built?
I said I'm in second school this.
Thank you very much. Let's go now to Alhaji Kande Yumkela.
The conditions where you show na that video, na that way they see where they go campaign, and we believe saying one of the worst legacies of the APC regime. For see people and they suffer that kind of way, the toilets they're not in a school, clean water not they, people they know they get proper health care in spite of the promises. For education, we don't talk, we declare immediately an education emergency. Under that emergency, we reform the Ministry of Education, split her into 2 directorates, one for basic education, one for tertiary education. Number 2, we go build more schools. 42% of our population, they're below 18. So you obviously the demand get for increase. We need more schools for let we able to stop the 2-shift system. Number 2, then 30,000 teachers. We not get PIN code. We get for regularize them. We get for train with teachers better, give them better incentives. Number 3, we get for work with the private sector. Private sector schools, and they work well in this country. Why government you know for work? Number 4, we go introduce a water and sanitation program for all schools. The final one, we consider seriously compulsory free primary education. We limit them to that level because we know say already education, they take about 20% of our expenditures. Healthcare. The health story is sorry. More women than they die in a than they go born picking than any side. So healthcare, major reform as well. Number 1, we get for train more nurses and doctors. Primary healthcare important. We get for establish more what we call primary healthcare units. Now then village. Number 3, we need for train more doctors. So I go work very well with the College of Medicine for see how we go expand them programs for train more doctors and nurses for this country. Of course, the physical infrastructure matter. We for upgrade the district level hospitals that we get. More expansion, electricity and clean water for day and day unit and day. For example, we need for get electricity for store blood. We need electricity for get better sanitation and clean water. So you get for do that linkage between a good hospital and the availability of electricity and clean water.
Dr. Samora Kamara, Kande Yumkela's vision for health and education seems very grand. Do you believe him?
Well, I don't know whether he knows the true cost of what he's saying. But I want just to inform him that what is happening is fault of successive government, not only an APC phenomenon, but again, my colleague said, again, my colleague quoted some figures. Hello? Yeah, he quoted some figures about the cost of primary education or education at large. I'll tell you, currently we meet 10% of the budget on education. That is over 5 trillion leones. And over 50% of that is primary education. Whenever you want to make free primary education, not to talk of high school education, you must look at the envelope, resource envelope, because you get competing development issues, you have health, water, etc.
Let me just hold you there, Dr. Kande Yumkela.
I just want to remind Samora, say, I give you an example of the leakages. I don't tell you, say, the duty waivers and incentive then we then give some companies. The total for 2011-2012, 240 million. Then they before don't build more schools. The Lumley Toke Road, where SLPP designer, it been for be 10 million. By the time APC take over, then say then they do 4 lane, then say na 100 million. If you stop then leakage then the 25% of schools we no get toilets and water, we go give them. We go build more primary schools for end the 2-shift system. So, what here they say? We get the numbers of almost money don't disappear in these 10 years. If we can just harness them, we go able to give possibly free, compulsory primary education.
Okay.
And with the possibility of a meal.
A lot on to retired Brigadier Julius Madabio. What do you think of waiting the also don't talk?
Of course, I will support my brother as against waiting me other brother don't say.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm coming.
Me and Mother,
Not
the
yet.
same way.
Yeah,
Please, can you allow him to speak?
The APC spent 105 billion in 2016 on education. And in 2017, they spent only 27 billion leones. You cannot trust them with education. They are not the best set of people.
So I please agree with Mother. See, we also agree.
All right. Well, let's give a chance now to Chief Samuel Samsumana to give us his view or his vision for reforming the sectors of health and education in Sierra Leone.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm very disappointed that I worked so hard under the free healthcare scheme for pregnant women, lactating mothers, and children under 5 that can die out so bad. I worked 7 months for actualizer. And looking at the figures of wherein we get, we find we serve 179 out of 188 under the HDI itself. It's very, very bad. And when we look at all of that, the 87 per thousand of infant maternal mortality rate, and the 120 per thousand of children under 5 is still very disturbing. We have to look at it and see how best we get to address these issues, building the facilities, human skills development also in the health sector. And when I say that, I stand very proud that I work very hard for increased remuneration of nurses and doctors in this country at that critical time. And also when we look at them, we get for improve on the facilities then, we get for make sure we create the opportunities for doctors and nurses. And when we look at the education and health sector, education also, when we train with nurses and doctors, then it falls under the education scheme also. But me get a plan under the Coalition for Change that the foundation is very important. You find out that less than 10% of kids in this country then will go in our preschool. We will make sure under the Coalition for Change, we erase that and provide free preschool for Pekin and Sierra Leone. And also, for them children who are in SS2, SS3 and 4, you don't find out, so we get a colossal number, we drop out. We will make sure we prepare them very well for letting them able to go see their exams and go on. And when, like Trinidad and Tobago, we also emulate that. And as we phase out, we provide the last 2 years of undergrads for making it be free for them. At the same time, we have to make sure that waiting the present regime do of only 2.8% of the GDP we then allocate for education in 2016. We're not going to do that. Education is paramount and we'll pay priority to that. Middleman skills, we embark on that because not only the dropouts, but they also be given the opportunity in society.
Chief Samsumana, you mentioned one island nation at the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
And you mentioned, say, we'll copy something from there. But I don't quite understand what you did say.
In Trinidad, with the blessed way God give them of the natural resources of petroleum, then provide free tertiary education for them picking them. We also, we get natural resources. If we close down the leaks, all the leakages there, we'll get a capacity for provide the opportunity for children that when they graduate from universities, not only waiting for somebody to employ them, but they're able to learn and come out and employ themselves gainfully as productive citizens. This is the foundation we go for said. It's not only for we spending now, but we are embarking on a project where we will make the youth in this country more productive. Consider a situation where a child was 5 years old before the Civil War, and then it lasted for 11 years. That gives us a young youth, uneducated, unemployed. Then the SLPP government came under Tijan Kaba, then trained them for be masons, painters. What skills can, how much? I don't know where last me Uncle Change.
I'm afraid we've given quite a lot of time, but thank you very much indeed, Chief Samuel Samsumana. And I'll turn now to the presidential contender for the All People's Congress Party. We've heard the plans that you all have on building the health and education sectors in Sierra Leone. Let's turn to housing and water. First, do you agree, and not just you, all of you here, do you all agree that housing and water are priority issues?
Yes. I do.
Do you all agree?
I totally agree.
Moderator, you left me out again for giving me views.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
But I mean, don't start with you, you remember?
Everybody give you in vision, then
yes.
You ask them views.
I will come to you, no worry. I go give. I go make you challenger, no worry, I beg. But I'll just allow Mr. Samura Kamara, Dr. Samura Kamara. Let him talk to us about housing and water. But I was asking all of you first, do you think these are priority issues for Sierra Leone?
Yes.
Everybody agrees. So Dr. Samura Kamara, how will you address these issues?
I totally agree that these are development constraints, challenges, and that's why we've put them into our manifesto, grassroots manifesto. Housing. It is true that we have quite a shortage of affordable housing facilities, especially for our public sector workers.
Now, we've had the problem again. I don't know. Something seems to have jinxed your microphone. And where our technical crew?
It's working.
Hello? Okay. Please, can we just roll back the timer? Okay.
Yes, as I was saying, I totally agree that housing and water are critical priorities in our manifesto, and certainly for moving this country forward. That's why we do realize that the shortage of affordable housing, especially for our public servants, whether it's the police or the military officers or teachers, nurses, civil servants, etc., it's a very serious development challenge. And in our administration, we'll do what it takes to bring about programs that will address affordable housing facilities. And certainly the biggest challenge is slum dwellers, where because of environmental reasons, they're really struggling. So we'll try to look at a policy where you can economically and gainfully resettle and relocate these communities to better housing facilities. We've already seen what has happened during the mudslide. The private sector has helped us with 52 very good housing units to which we are resettling those who suffered during the mudslide. And I think this is a very encouraging aspect. On water, I was saying, in the village where my dad comes from, I went there. I will tell you, I saw the mothers and fathers struggling to have clean water system. Of course, I've done what I have to do to even improve that situation. But consider if it were Samura Kamara living in that environment, it would have been a difficult thing, diseases and all the rest of it. And that's why in our manifesto, we're going to do everything to make sure that housing as a priority is ably addressed, but more so a combination between the private sector and the public sector. It has to be a private-public partnership, because certainly government is encumbered with other challenges, and given the limited resources in the budget, government cannot handle it alone. But I do believe we have a competent and a willing private sector that will help us move these two sectors forward. But I will tell you over and above that, I as president, I have moved by the spirit of these people and resilience that they have to withstand these current challenges until there is time for us to improve.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samura Kamara. Alhaji Musa Tarali, is there anything you've picked from what Dr. Samura Kamara has just said?
You see, Mr. Moderator, the major problem in this country is the political will. Housing and water are big enterprises. Government for take off the burden from in. The people don't tire with theories. The people want for see tangible development. The dam we have today was made for 300,000 people. The city gave past 1 million people. I took the Deputy Minister of Water Resources to Morocco. He saw the dam there, in a desert area. Give out the responsibility out to the private sector. Water is a big business and affordable cost. Then we invest in the dam, we get water in this country, take the waste and they damage people there. Invest in the dam, get the water there, we go supply the whole city. I go Grassfield, 10 days there. You see more than 1,000 gallons, people then go fetch water. When it is a big enterprise, we can get the private sector for development. The housing also, I facilitate the construction of 15,000 houses in Ghana. In Guinea, give it to the private sector. At the time, they make me chairman for the relocation of slums. I brought a friend where don't build 300,000 houses in Morocco.
Your friend, you brought a friend, you said,
Yes, for take
that has built 300,000 houses in Morocco.
He came. But what happened? People started to say, Nayanda Amen, Nami people then did it, and the investor does not want all those complications.
Okay,
so government has to decide. Give it to the private sector, you cannot do it. So give it away. Let the private sector do it.
I noticed you kept referring to a dam and a city. What city are you talking about where you think there should be this, the dam is now not...
Freetown. The dam here, the whole problem of this water...
So will Freetown be your priority, your sole priority in terms of water?
All over this country, investors can able to make water available. It is business. The people cannot live without it. So encourage investment, take off the body.
Okay. Let me turn now to retired Brigadier Julius Madabio. Your vision for housing and water.
I will start with water because water is life. The situation in this country is miserable. Even in the city here, Freetown, our kids have to wake up early in the morning and go and break pipes to get water. We've heard a lot about infrastructural development. I believe that water, the provision of pipe-borne water, is part of critical infrastructure development. I would have preferred water, which is life, to have been provided by this government. Instead of parading and saying they've done a 5-kilometer road for $20 million. Water is life, and there is acute shortage of potable water in this country. In the city itself, talk less about the towns out of Freetown. It is even miserable. And there is a link between water and sanitation. So a lot of the diseases that we are encountering and combating are actually from the type of water our people are using. Coming to housing, affordable housing is definitely a challenge to us all. And we have to find a way to do that, to make sure we provide affordable housing for our people. We have to work with the private sector. We have to work with the banks to create a mortgage system that is affordable. We should work with the private sector to create financing sort of arrangement that will support our people to be able to have houses at affordable prices. As a nation too, we must make that effort because our people live in very squalid conditions, even in the city here. And coming back to water, I believe that water is life, and therefore, if we have to invest in infrastructure, water should come first. but there has been a critical shortage of water in the city and other towns around the country. I think that is criminal neglect.
Mohammed Kamarimba, we'll just get the timer up for you. Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari, we'll just get the timer up for you because I'd like to get your vision, your dream for transforming the water and housing situation in Sierra Leone.
Thank you, Hassan. Now, one thing with this country, a good thing, the failed political parties, them way don't govern we since independent. The SLPPs, now we get the SLPP 1 and 2. And I'm so happy they don't bend together now, they agree one time. And honestly, Hassan, water, like what me brother will talk just now, Bill, now like 65% of we body is made with water. But now, the important about water, when you go to villages them, when you go to them, then chief them, when they know they get clean water for drink. And then water, they cause a lot of disease, a lot of death. You know, any government will not able to provide basic water, not a responsible government. So every government we don't lead with, up to today, we don't fail this nation, they're not responsible. And the second thing again, when we talk about housing, one of the pathetic things the way you want to go rent a house, they tell you say $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. We are not trading dollars, but they ask for dollars in this country. So you see the poor man not able to afford for even rent us in this country. We need to talk about building a house. Now you come, one of the vision I get, we for come back to the low-cost housing then in this country. In fact, the house that will be done built in this country right now, this past government, when I say prepare APC, then combine just for the sell the house there. Look at the OAU village them. Look at everything what they get in this country, then just they sell. Then just they sell. They're not a build, but then they sell. And that's not the alternative the people they want. You know, the Sierra Leone, they don't tire. They don't tire where government they give excuses them. They don't tire where government they give all kind of excuse for say, oh, this is this, this is that. Me on government, when I be elected, I go come build houses for police officers in every neighborhood in this country, especially in our constituencies them, with upgrade the barracks them. I go to Kabbalah, the military barracks, there was an eyesore. When I did pass there, it was just shameful. And like I tell you, we need to take the lives of the people serious. And Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari go take the lives of the people serious.
Thank you very much. So now are the police and the soldiers the most important people for you when it comes to housing?
No, now the time will be short. We talk about every Sierra Leonean deserve for living a better life. We get, you know, them roof, them grass roof then at this country. When you're going to village them, you know, Hassan, you have no idea when they go in them place they are. Up to now, you see us then getting them grass as a roof in this country. You know, where are we heading? Where are we heading? So at the comeback, look, we can build every Sierra Leonean deserve for be in a better housing. And like I say, the basic need of life is food, shelter, and clothing.
Where will the money come from to build these houses for every Sierra Leonean?
We get the funds them with a partner with the private sectors, with the banks, and try for reduce. Look, for example, my home I've been buying, my first home in America. You know how much they go charge for low pay down payment? It's $3,000. You they pay 30 years. Every month you they pay small, they don't pay. So we get for come back, then we drop, because right now, if you want to go buy us, they tell you 28%, 25%. We need to drop to 3%, 4%, 5%. Where people are going to afford housing.
Thank you
and
very
we can
much.
do them
So
if we get a responsible government.
Sector in this country. Let's turn now to Alhaji Kande Yumkela, housing and water, your vision.
Well, one thing where I know say no police or soldier not trust APC say they be loads for them. If you look the military procurement over the last 10 years with APC, then don't spend almost 40 to 60 million on military hardware, where the soldier and police there not get proper housing and schooling. So nobody not trust them. Second, like what Mohammed say, they want to sell even the civil servant houses to who that? To themselves. Because now the young people then they inside them building. So nobody not trust them. So what would I do? Housing crucial. Adongona, Kanike, Moab, Colbert, Crabtron. This past week, they campaigned, they work a middle lane place and the one location, 21,000 people, they live in a pan body. You foresee the hole, where then they get water from. This is wrong in 21st century Sierra Leone. We go rebuild some of the ancient locations and they. But yes, you need public-private partnership and good financing, mortgage systems for let you get the private sector in for build affordable housing for people. I call on public-private partnership because yes, government get for provide some land, encourage some developers, we go develop their housing schemes and possibly some financing. Again, if we lock some inside there, where money just they disappear, yeah, including fishing. Yeah, then another topics on there. I don't know if una the cover. So many side and day where money just they disappear now, yeah, because of deal making. Where we go use for them thing, clean water, now basic rights, access to clean water. In fact, now sustainable development goal number 6, top priority. Now they boku the disease, then they come out where they affect them picking there. We get for give people then clean water. Yes, it get for be a combination of methods. We get for harvest water. If you go to Cape Verde, then they harvest water. So we get for do some water harvesting. We get a lot rainy season time. We get for do some small dams. And also, of course, major infrastructure for able pump and pipe to locations. In addition, more boreholes. We get a lot of mountains. We can use gravity. So water harvesting is crucial. Building the infrastructure to take it to the households is going to be crucial. But even for that, you're going to need public-private partnerships to get it through. But it's a basic right.
Oh, one of the main problems, even the Guma Valley Dam, the biggest of the dams in Sierra Leone, in terms of the cities, has is that people don't like to pay for water. And you are going to build these dams, you're going to bring these boreholes, and you'll have people who don't want to pay for them.
Yeah, we start with the rich. We start with the rich in the rich neighborhoods. We'll give them meters. I was in government when we tried that. Unfortunately, the policy was not very good. I can tell you that in my neighborhood, we would happily pay for clean water. And we should do that. Those who are wealthy should pay for clean water. We pay in Europe. We pay in America. And I have spoken to a lot of middle class, upper class people here. They just want the service. We charge those who are wealthy to pay. We subsidize the poor and make it free for most of them. But the schools need clean water in particular.
Dr. Samura Kamara, it's very possible that you or any of the other men here in a few weeks' time will be the new president of Sierra Leone. Is there anything there that you might be able to pick in the case that you became president? Or are there things there that are totally unachievable?
Asan, I think the difference between me and them party there is that I have a unique experience in managing these issues in a developing country. Me, I don't stay here for long, since the war until now. Some, they don't go overseas. They run away, now they come. So they don't have the experience. They can, this is not papi talk, also show talk. You cannot just come and give the impression that these are simple challenges that we just address overnight. No. So that if you look even at some of the manifestos they've written, it's all promises, intention without substance. We all know that yes, water and affordable housing are a critical problem. But you don't want to simplify it the way then they make a legacy. You can't tomorrow, you go get
but Samurai, you know for complicates and either another may not able to trust you 20
No, I'm coming. I'm not being interfere.
You work on this. The problem
Dr. Kande, Dr. Yumikela, I'm not being interfere or interrupt, so you be the talk. I just tell you, say, I, Samura Kamara, I gave a unique experience over and above what you get.
Okay.
For manage the economy.
We'll hold it there because Chief Sam Sumana needs to now tell us what he will do about water and housing in Sierra Leone and where he will start.
Thank you very much.
Please, can we have some quiet? And would like to encourage the candidates to also try as much as possible to speak in English because we have a wide audience here from various countries in the world. Not all of them speak Creole. Can we have some silence, please? Chief Sam Sumana.
Thank you very much. It's very clear that water and housing are essentials of life. Very clear that in our country today there is need for 280,000 homes for us to solve our housing crisis. Looking at the condition of our people living in shanties or makeshift homes with lack of proper regulations in building and at the same time with poor planning of housing that has affected the status quo of fine cities or towns in the country as a whole. We will look into it and make sure that we engage each other to be able to build houses that are affordable, with use of our local material, and also at the same time put in a system, a mortgage system, that we can be able to utilize the financial institutions that can support the various schemes that we put in place at various tiers, at high-end, medium, and low-scale housing. In the area of water, it is very unfortunate that what we're faced with today in Freetown and the other parts of the country, that we still have a water reticulation system that is still pre-colonial. And that we in Freetown need to improve on that. As a government, a responsible government, we have to provide water for the people of this country, because we look at industrial water supply with domestic, and at the same time, can you imagine, there's only one fire hydrant in this country. Whenever there's a fire disaster in Freetown, there's always a colossal damage because we don't have fire hydrants around, and also with lack of water. These are very important. And we believe that under the Coalition for Change, that in order to harness water, here in Freetown alone, we have about 19 catchment areas, 3 of which are bigger than the present Guma Valley. So we have to look at it, not even to go and look at the high tech of it, but utilize what we have now as a God-given right. So I believe that in order to do this, we also need to include the private sector, both to improve on the housing problems that we have, and at the same time for water reticulation so that we can have pure drinking water and avoid waterborne diseases at the same time.
You've spoken about the water situation in Freetown, and you are a son of the Connaught district. How can you describe the state of water and housing in Connaught?
I did my best as vice president. I wrote letters to Degremont asking the French government to support us. There are 43 Degremont points that were existing before in this country. Today, none is functioning. When we look at it, for my case in of Connaught, not only that the water point was destroyed, but also at the same time, the present mining activities with lack of proper environmental impact, it has reduced the water aquifer for the people of Edo City precisely. And you see, with all of this deep shaft mining or kimberlitic mining, it has affected the water level table in Connaught. So there is no water supply, on which I endeavored then as vice president through the Kuwaiti government, but was frustrated by this regime not to help me have water reticulation in. Yes, just for the study of $450,000, which was to be provided by the Kuwaiti government, was stalled for what I don't know. So when we look at other parts of the country, because here I stand representing Sierra Leone, not Connaught alone, and we look at the areas in Pujong, look at what they were supposed to have with the effort of the Degremont, still not available.
Okay, and I just want to pick up again on something else you said. You said in terms of housing, we will make use of local materials. What sort of local materials?
We are very blessed to have clay in this country. Very affordable. For my part of the world in Connaught, from the mining areas, when you talk about hydroform, you don't have to pay for it. With the use of clay, you can be able to build decent homes. Take the example from Rwanda, the type of homes they have. We can be able to build those homes for less by use of local material. Look at the scheme they are using in other parts of the world, like Philippines, in their roofing system. We can also use the bamboo that we can build. If we continue to use these skills, employ the technology that are available in other parts of the world, then we will be able to harness that opportunity and provide affordable homes for the people of this country.
Thank you very much. Let's turn now to Alhaji Musa Tarawali. You had a thing or two to say about housing. You had a thing or two to say about water when you were challenging Dr. Samura Kamara. What will you do differently to change the state of water and housing in Sierra Leone?
My brother, government is poor. Government does not have money. Promises cannot solve the problem of the people. Theories cannot solve the problem of the people. I will encourage investment. That is how Dubai was built. That is how UK was built. That is how America is built. We have to encourage investors to invest in enterprises, create jobs for our people, pay tax, and empower our people to purchase the facilities. It's a two-track approach. We encourage investors and we empower our people, invest in our people to afford the services.
You still have more than a minute and a half if you'd like to continue.
I think I've mastered it. There is no way.
Please, can you allow him to speak?
There is no way we can play magic. We don't have money. We have to invite credible investors to participate, create jobs for our people, pay tax, and support our people to afford the services. They deserve quality health service. They deserve clean pipe-borne water. They deserve decent living conditions. And we can't afford this as a government, so we have to create the enabling environment for investors to invest, and we develop policies that can make it affordable.
You have 50 seconds, but since you've stopped, I'll ask you a question on that. Right. What exactly would you offer to these investors that would bring them to Sierra Leone to invest in housing and water, rather than go to Ghana or Liberia or Guinea?
The political will. The political will must create the enabling environment by cutting the red tapes, no protocols, review the laws, give the facility that is required for them to believe this is home for them and invest.
Thank you very much indeed, Alhaji Musa Tarawali. We've had quite a bit of time talking here, and I think it's time we give you all a little break so that maybe you can stretch a little bit and you can have a sip of water or two. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you to the audience and to everybody listening and watching.
Good evening and welcome back. I would like to call the program to order. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll now hand you over to Hassan Harouni.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long evening, but we know that the road ahead is even longer, because one of these gentlemen here tonight will be leading us in the next 5 years. Once again, we have Alhaji Musa Tarawali, Dr. Samura Kamara, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio, Mohammed Kamarin Bamansari, Dr. Kande Kole Yumkela, and Alhaji Chief Samuel Sam Sumana. Now, plenty of people in Sierra Leone today say times are hard. Prices are high compared to their purchasing or earning power. This is an economy that relies largely on the exports of raw materials, subsistence agriculture, and small trading, petty trading. Our industrial base is very low, and we have a debt, a foreign debt, which has gone over $1.5 billion. What will it take to turn this around, and how do you, the candidates here tonight, plan to do it? Let's start first by examining your plans on jobs and revenue and reducing donor dependency. We'll start with retired Brigadier Julius Madabio. You have 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. We have a serious problem with our economy. And to deal with this problem, we have to introduce some discipline in the way we spend the people's money. First is expenditure control. The APC government has been spending like drunken sailors. They've spent, the SLPP government left a reserve of over 5 billion leones and a foreign debt of about $250 million. As I speak to you, I'm just confirming what you said. We have a foreign debt of about 1.6 billion today. And of course, that tells you there is no reserve at all. This sort of reckless spending on the part of the government has created serious challenges for the people of this country. We have to introduce stringent measures. We also have to mobilize domestic revenue. We have to stop excessive tax exemptions, duty waivers. That way we can create the savings necessary to support the government to pay for some of the essential services instead of having to depend on other countries or development cooperation partners to fund our own existence as a government. There is excessive expenditure on foreign travels. There is also a lot of use of foreign exchange on contracts within the country. These are things that we have to stop. So apart from mobilizing domestic revenue, we also have to make sure that we diversify our economy to be able to have more sources of revenue. And I have identified tourism as one of those areas to create more bases to diversify our revenue base. We transform the agriculture sector by certain policies to make sure that these productive sectors add up to our revenue base. I am going to seriously take action in the fishery sector so that we can have more revenue.
Thank you very much, retired Brigadier Julius. Could you just expound a little bit on the fishing sector? What will you do to make it different from what it is today?
We are losing quite a lot of money in that sector. We are not surveillancing our territorial waters. The governance of our fishery sector is non-existent. The license have not been monitored. So we are getting a meager sum of money from our fishery sector. So we have to look at that very seriously. For agriculture, we have to make sure that we can produce enough food and also cash crops and animals husbandry. We have to make sure that we can produce enough to eat at home and to sell so that we can generate foreign revenue for this country. That is how I intend to embark on the increase in the revenue or the intake of the government. We have the least domestic revenue mobilization effort in the whole of Africa. Whilst Liberia is doing 18% of GDP and Guinea 17% of GDP, we are doing a mere 11.1% of GDP.
Thank you very much. We'll turn now to Mr. Mohamed Kamarimba Mansare, turning the economy around. Your plans on jobs and revenue, reducing donor dependency.
Thank you, Hassan. You know, Sierra Leone is a consuming country. We don't produce. for goodness sake, the toothpaste to brush our teeth, we are importing our toothpick in this country and toothpaste. We don't produce anything. And I was just thinking, since I started my campaign, I've always speak the local language, which is the Creole. And tonight, most of them, the voters, the average voters, they really want to comprehend what I'm talking to them about. So I'm going to continue a little bit with my Creole accent. The economy. The one thing about economy, make I tell you one thing. I've been talking today. We spend about $160 million just for import to staple food when I rice. That needs to stop. We need to stop that. You come into tourism, for goodness sake, look at Gambia, then depend on tourism. And Sierra Leone, we are just a mess when it comes to tourism in this country. So we need to rebuild Sierra Leone. And some of the things then back when I talk about this donor, this is not the country where government, the past, this is not just APC, but APC and SPP. When they give more money, you go bigger, then give more money, then they cry, oh my God, the party woke. Now look, they don't go give away more money. It's shameful. They know they think about how for go talk about trade, all then they think about how for bigger for get more money. And like I said, the reckless spending of this government must stop. And with my government, I will make sure that I put in place responsible financial dealings that will benefit the average Sierra Leoneans. We need even this tax credit, where the waivers, where you see all over now, big companies, mining, road companies, they get just for benefits because they don't bribe some of them government officials, all that needs to stop. And with my government, I will be very much tight about the economy, and we go back and drop the US dollar to where it's supposed to be. But for now, it's almost 1 million leones to $100.
So, Mr. Mansari, when you talk about these, when you mention responsible measures that you will bring, can you elaborate a little bit?
Absolutely. One of the responsible measures is you cannot put a thief to take care of your money. So we need to hire, who forget people and we now sober-minded people, or when are corrupt-free, they record the show, where they put into place. Because what it mean, money we mean for 30,000 people, now in 1 minister they take, it build big all the mansions them. So we need to put the right people where go able to govern this country. So one of them key in leadership, now the right people are around you. So that's now how my government will be responsible.
Thank you very much. We'll turn now to Dr. Kandekole Yumkela.
Thank you very much. One of the worst legacies of APC is rankonomics, ranka economics. This is the only country where you have them building roads instead of building schools, and these roads are 3 to 4 times more expensive than international benchmarks. So to get this economy back moving forward, we need to stabilize the economy. Meaning what? Control expenditures. Watch procurement. Number 3, make sure that we manage inflation well. Currently 17.8%. People are suffering. Manage your exchange rates and also lower interest rates and stop crowding out the private sector. We need to diversify the economy, creating new productive sectors, agribusiness supply chains. Some of these mining companies can also invest backwards to create supply chains for basic food stuff to their employees. We also need to look at tourism and also create a more viable digital economy with a lot of the youth that we have in the country. Fisheries, over 50%, there's a report that shows that over 50% of the trawlers are illegal trawlers. We are losing over $60 to $100 million just from bad management of the fishery sector. You know that I helped to build here a fisheries training school. The vision was for value addition onshore. That is not taking place. Also, to make sure that we meet the phytosanitary standards to be able to export directly to Europe. We still have to solve that problem. So if you look at the economy, if you stabilize the economy, you manage to invest in diversification, you need a vibrant and strong private sector to create jobs and wealth. So we will have special programs to work with the private sector. I'll set up a very solid economic management team. You already know that I have Samuel Itam with me. That team will include some of the ex-governors, some of the managing directors of the private commercial banks, and business people to work together on public-private partnership initiatives to stimulate this economy, create wealth, and create jobs.
Dr. Yumkela, can you explain that you did mention stabilizing the economy? What are these measures that you will put in place to do so?
Number one, expenditure controls. Our payroll is bloated. There's an estimate that when this government took over in 2006, we had 30 to 40,000 people on payroll. Now that's over 80,000. Some of those are ghost workers. BO mentioned some of the expensive traveling. And one of the biggest ones is procurement. And of course, the duty waivers and incentives that I mentioned before. 2011 alone, over 240 million just lost by duty waivers and all kinds of incentives given to entities that did not need it. You've got to plug that. You've got to manage also your exchange rate reserves, you've got to manage inflation, and also interest rates. That's stabilization package.
Thank you very much. We'll turn now to Chief Samuel Samsumana. Your ideas on changing the economy, your plans on jobs and revenue and reducing donor dependency.
Thank you very much. One of the issues today I stand here that is rather disturbing is to find someone who has served as the governor of Central Bank, time Minister of Finance, and now that has failed the economy of this country, at the same time yearning to be the president of this country. It doesn't add up to me. We have to look at the realities of our economy. When we're looking at that, we have to make sure, in order to be more sustained, away from a donor-driven economy, we need to expunge corruption, minimize corruption to the highest level. We need to make sure that the leakages that are ongoing within the system are addressed. We need to make sure that there's added value to our natural resources or agricultural products. And when we look at all of this, the operationability of it, being the growth sector of the economy, being the marine resources, the mines or mineral resources, the agriculture, and the tourism. These are the growth sectors of the economy that we need to enhance and build the capacity that will bring us the revenue to help us stay away from a donor-driven economy. And so, though, under the Coalition for Change, in order to enhance that, we will put in place the operation of Sierra Leone Feed Yourself, Operation Feed Town. And that will also look into the agricultural sector, because our economy has been more of agro-based economy, looking back to the late 60s and 70s. We have to look at that. We have to make sure also that within the operations of added value, we, under the Coalition for Change, will make sure that we have one district, one factory, so that we can be able to add value to our natural resources and agricultural products. This will create employment, this will bring the tax revenue, and then will help us stay away from more of a donor-driven economy. We have to make sure that the current 16 trillion leons of deficit is addressed by cutting down. Why do we have to import rice? Just last year, under his watch, we had, and previous year, under his watch, we had over $400 million to import rice into this country.
Thank you very much, Chief Samuel Samsumana. I'd like to just caution candidates here going forward. It's very easy to throw a stone at the incumbent party's candidate because we've seen their performance and we haven't tested yours, and would like to encourage you to try not to throw those stones at him, but instead convince us of your alternative ideas. But I'd like to just pick up something that you said there. A promise to have one factory in one district. The first time I heard this promise, I think it was in the Ghana election, 2 Christmases or so ago, 2 Decembers ago. And the government that won, that's in power now, came up with this promise. But in the 1 year or so that they've been in power, they've been struggling to fulfill this promise. How will you fulfill this promise in Sierra Leone? You have a minute.
In Sierra Leone, what we are going to be looking into the aspect of private sector and government partners. We will be able to utilize what we have. For instance, with the natural resources that, since we have diamonds in this country, what is the added value of them? Look at the bulk crude type. We've only been shipping them out of this country. What have we done to that? In our agricultural sector, we believe that with the added value to our cocoa coffee, is it right to have cocoa from Germany when we have what it takes? Look at Sockfin. We can take that as an example and be able to create these cottage factories, small and medium factories within the various areas so that we're able to generate revenue and create jobs for our youths in this country. And I'm sure that what we have is a composition of both government and the private sector to enhance this ability of one district, one factory.
Thank you very much indeed. Alhaji Musa Tarawali, you've heard what they've all said about how they will transform the economy, how they will create jobs and revenue and reduce donor dependency. What will you do?
This is the most important question. And it makes the debate my debate. I have researched this for 35 years. And I will give you the solution. I won't waste my time on the problem analysis, but the solution. We have to create seed capital for this country. Without seed capital, we can't be sustainable. So I will establish a national development fund. This fund will invest in the capacity of the people, make them productive to live a decent standard of life and to pay tax to government. The only way we can move from the donor-driven economy is when we have our people to pay tax, feel the sense of responsibility. And let me tell you how we can achieve this. The first thing is to maximize revenue generation. Deploy a secured and integrated system that can generate revenue and produce record on a daily basis. All revenue collection points, we have the machines, a single retrieve system. It will eradicate fraud and all malpractices in revenue generation. And it will be integrated with the Asikuda and other sources of revenue. The second thing to do is to audit the existing mining companies and industries, their stock, their operations and export, identify the defaulters, and use the rule of law to get back what we've lost as a nation. The third thing is to do geospatial survey. Scientifically prove all our mineral resources, arable land, water sources, forest reserve, marine potential. Develop bankable business plans on them. And back up.
Thank you, Alhaji Musa Tali. I just want you to just elaborate a little bit on these systems that generate revenue.
I want to inform listeners that I have already developed a bankable business plan on this at no cost to government. The system will be deployed at the Revenue Authority. networked by GPS or GSM with self-rechargeable batteries. The front machines will be deployed at every revenue collection point.
Thank you very much. Let's turn now to Dr. Samura Kamara. You've been finance minister in this country, so I suppose this is something you'll just swim over.
Thank you, Hassan. What is most disturbing, and it really hurts, is when you listen to people who want to rule a country without clear understanding of how the country's economy works, what the sectors are important for the economy, what policies are necessary to improve on the economy. But what is more worrying is when people talk without a sense of history, going back to where they came from. Brigadier Madabiu talks about reckless expenditure. I was a financial secretary in this country when the NPRC was here, when he ruled as head of state for 3 months. You understand? I know exactly, as manager of the economy, manager of the budget, how we were constrained by the fact that what we call extra budgetary revenues were not paid into the budget. One particular one was we got $18 million from the sale of ilmenite that was never reported to us. We collected the money, it was not paid into the budget. Was that good expenditure? No, I'm just coming. So when you talk about reckless expenditure,
Dr. Kamara,
I'm coming.
We're trying to get you to tell us how you will push the country
I will do
forward.
that. Yes, I'm coming to that.
Not to go back.
I'm coming to that.
And launch a personal attack.
Others, for
let's allow him to finish.
Less than a year and a half, they manage the trade ministry, just selling a refinery which we should not have sold. But I want to tell you, going forward in this economy, I want to let them know, when Dr. Yumikela was saying the economy is unstable, I don't think he understands what macroeconomic stability is. This is the stable macroeconomic. We had some hiccups, and we are going to correct those hiccups because we had exogenous factors. Ebola came, our GDP dropped from plus 20% to minus 21%. Today we're at 6% per annum. One of the highest on average in many countries. So what you want to do is to maintain that macroeconomic stability, is to make sure that you develop the sectors again, you diversify the sectors, you go into less dependence on the mining sector, because we suffered when there was a sharp drop in the price of iron ore. So that's why we're looking at diversifying the economy, going to agriculture, going into fisheries, tourism.
Thank you, Dr. Kamara. When you talk about diversifying the economy, you've mentioned that there'll be an emphasis on agriculture. But I suppose when you've been going around the country, you must have had young people saying jobs. And this is something I've not quite heard people talk about. How will you satisfy this need for jobs?
I think the engine of economic growth and the engine of job creation is the private sector. The government has done its bit. We have created many jobs, but thankfully today, we as a government are generating large mega projects. Like for instance, the Mama Airport, when it comes, it will create over 10,000 jobs. Like the Tidford project, the port expansion, is going to create over 30,000 jobs. There are so many of these projects that will create jobs for the young people. And then, of course, there are other sectors you can also develop. Tourism has the greatest potential to both to create economic opportunities as well as create jobs. Fisheries, we were talking about. If only we can regulate, we can draw on supervision, surveillance, I think it's a potential also for job creation and economic development driver.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samura Kamara. And we'll turn now to retired Brigadier Julius Madabiu, the economy, turning it around, creating jobs, reducing dependence on donor funding.
I think I've addressed that somehow, but I think it's necessary to set this record straight. Dr. Samora works better under supervision. And when he was under my supervision, when he worked very well under my supervision, that was why I appointed him as Minister of Finance for the very first time. He was the Financial Secretary. He was the Minister of Finance. If he's talking about corruption, he's definitely complicit in that.
Again, this is personal attacks. I'd like you to actually state your own case, rather.
Say again?
But you have done it, so we'll go to the next question now, and we'll go to Mr. Mohammed Kamarinba. Mr. Kamarinba, I'd like you to talk about energy and the private sector, and here's the picture. Electricity, according to the USAID Power Africa fact sheet, it says the power sector in Sierra Leone is small. The country has less than 100 megawatts of operational capacity, and only 13% of the population have access to electricity. In the rural areas, there's only 1% of the population have access to electricity. But good electricity and access can help people and the economy too. The private sector is very important in growing our economy because you, as head of state and government, will not be able to do it on your own if you were to become the president at the moment. This is where we are in terms of private sector's contribution and the role in the economy. Tell us what will be your focus on energy, the private sector.
Yes, Hassan, the private sector is the core domain for any development. And what we must do as leaders of this nation, when I become president, we are going to continue to empower the private sector, as I said, by providing the resources needed for them to employ more people. One of the conditions that I'm going to put in place, I'm going to put an employment center in every constituency of this country. So if you're a dropout or you're graduated from university, you're coming to register at the employment center in your constituency so that we can provide skills and help the private sector so you can be marketable. And without that, we cannot do that when we don't have energy. Where this government is spending about $100 million on a yearly basis. And like you said, it's less than 3% that have electricity in their homes. Where is this money going? Not too recently, I saw a ship saying it's an energy, this cosmetic development. You see, you cannot have a disease and then you go to a doctor and you just want the doctor to give you some kind of bandage. No, you cannot hide the wound. We need to cure the wound. And this is the problem where this government, and I'm so happy when I'm seeing Bio and Samora Kamara talking about corruption, and each one have been accomplished to this failed government of this country. And another thing
Again, would like to just ask you to just refrain from personal attacks.
Yeah, I have to.
Concentrate on what you'll do.
Yes, Hassan, this is where the corruption is the key. Because most of this money that's meant for energy, like I said, the ministers or whoever responsible are taking this money for their own personal use. We need to cut that down. So my government is going to give energy in this country. What we're really going to do also, look at the Bumbuna, the hydro that we have over there in Tonkolili district. It's only providing some amount of energy in this country.
You've just eaten all of the time that you had, but so thank you very much. I'll leave it at that for the moment because I want to hear what Dr. Yumkela's plans are.
We have to pursue both grid-based and off-grid solutions, meaning that yes, we have to build more bigger plants, hydro, thermal, to expand the installed capacity. We have to improve the grid and transmission system. So we need a radical set of reforms to be able to do that. Second, we must pursue off-grid solutions, meaning encouraging more use of renewables, decentralized distributive energy systems, encouraging people to also use solar panels on their households. That you can do together with the private sector. It's happening in many countries, Bangladesh and others. As you expand the grid, you can also do distributive energy for simple household systems, 3 bulbs, a phone charger. We call it Tier 1 energy access, so that you can guarantee every Sierra Leonean within a 5 to 10 year period, basic access to lighting. Then you can go to Tier 2, energy for productive uses, where in fact you increase the quantum of energy you provide to the household to be able to grind flour, millets, to enhance their productivity, or energy for pumping water to help with irrigation. So you can do it gradually, grid-based solutions, off-grid solutions. But for all of this to work, you need the private sector, which means financial intermediation, will need proper financing, will need foreign investors, so which means that we have to encourage a lot more independent power producers to enter the game. Finally, we need to work with the mining companies. If you have a small country like ours, and you want to encourage bigger IPPs to come in, independent power producers, you have to encourage the mining companies to be off-takers. We call it anchor demand. If they can buy half of the power produced by an independent power producer, you can subsidize consumers. So that calls for integrating your energy policy with your mining policy. And that can happen in this situation. But we have to use almost all resources: hydro, solar, and biomass.
You mentioned, and you will have 1 minute to elaborate on this, but you mentioned this expansion. How will you roll it out? What will be the priority, or who or where will be the priority?
In the first instance, you don't throw the baby out with the bath. It takes a long time to design and incubate energy projects, on an average 3 to 5 years. So we will look at some of what the last 2 governments have tried to do. Expansion of Bubuna, and also Big Congo. But you can also do small hydro plants. I worked on the one for Singimi in Moyamba. That would have done 13 megawatts. Rutile could have bought half of that power, which would have allowed us to supply Moyamba, Jala, and even link it to Bo. So yes, you can do small hydro, you can do big hydro. You can also do bigger solar installations. And if you have good auctions, you can get companies to come in here. If you can negotiate the tariffs properly, they will come in and invest. We've seen that happen in some other African countries as well.
Thank you very much. And we'll give 2 minutes and 30 seconds to Chief Samuel Sam Sumana.
Thank you, Bosh. Energy is the backbone for economic development. Economy. I agree that as a nation, we are blessed to have the potential in order to not only generate thermal, but also alternate. That could be diversified, whether it's solar, biomass, wave, or hydro. With the potential that we have, I'm proud to state that when we came into office in 2007, when our leadership, President Koroma, had put in place the emergency energy program, I realized that that was not sustainable. And I worked very hard and raised the first $18 million towards the Kumbuna Hydro project that had lasted for 32 years. And in completion of that, when we did a basket fund, and we're blessed that that project has been completed. But also looking at it, and our other potential that we have also, we will look into it to enhance or fast track the West African Power Pool scheme, that we as a nation can be able to generate the energy. Energy is never enough. We will look into the opportunities of creating energy. And then when we generate, we can also export. But also, most important of all, when I mentioned earlier that when we generate enough energy, then we can make it enforce the issue of added value to our natural resources so that mining companies can be able to process minerals and add value to it. Moreover, it is very eminent that when we are doing this, the natural grid will be of eminence, the transmission and distribution line. We will enforce to make sure that any community with a total population of 200 or more, when we shall put in place the energy program, we will make sure that energy is prepared to those various. It is very clear that only when we have energy, then we can talk about the development. I don't believe in only putting 4 or 3 light bulbs in a household, but to utilize that energy to generate income for the community.
Thank you very much. So how long will it take for you to reach these communities of at least 200 inhabitants with the energy needs that you say you will make sure you help them with?
At the moment, we are blessed that with the West African power line that will be constructed from Ivory Coast here on linking up to Liberia and linking up Guinea, and that will take the distribution line. That is the main grid under the West African power. But we will also look at it with the private sector so that there can be lease lines from this private sector so as to help us with the transmission. We as a government will not be able to undertake all of it. We'll use the private sector to generate at the same time to distribute energy so that our people, our communities can have the energy not only for their domestic use, but also for their small and medium enterprise. As we talk about the issue of one district, one fact, these are some of the facts that when we shall have been able to using these, then the economy of the country will be transformed.
Thank you. Alhaji Musa Tarawali, your plans?
The development of Sierra Leone is a serious business, not a talking shop. Our development plan must be systematic and adaptive, all interrelated. With the establishment of the National Development Fund, we will invest in the people production. With the knowledge on the value of our natural resources, we will negotiate from a position of strength and plan our mining and industrial community. We have to reintroduce the rail system, National Rail Service, to enhance productivity and create over 40,000 jobs. Once we enhance productivity by creating cheap haulage facility to mining companies and those in the agricultural sector, we will automatically establish the consumption capacity to attract energy investors. With lights and ACs, we cannot attract them. We need thousands of megawatts to use locally and export to the neighboring countries through the West African power pool. So to create jobs, we need to also create more cash cows, like the aviation industry, the National Rail Service, agriculture, value addition of our product will move us to the next stage, making our people productive, the ultimate beneficiaries of the process, and generating the much needed revenue for government. We have to treat holistically. For the most immediate need, we'll look at what we have, support it to sustain us. But we need to engage big multinational players, and we can only attract them through the development of data. The billionaire cannot come here and take land to do his own discoveries. We need to have the capacity to attract well-meaning investors, create jobs for our people, make them productive, and create the sense of responsibility in them to pay tax.
Thank you very much. And I'll give you 1 minute to answer this particular one. Could you elaborate on your specific plans to generate electricity?
Pardon?
Could you tell us more? Tell us what your specific plans are to generate more electricity for the nation.
I think I told you. Electricity can only be sustainable when we have the consumption capacity. We cannot continue to run at loss. So we need to create the consumption capacity to bring in the energy investors that can produce sustainable energy for local consumption and for export to neighboring countries. We have to plan this country development to make the country a hub for global market. We are just 7 million. We don't have the population to our advantage. Our people are not prepared for development. So we have to make Sierra Leone the hub for international market.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, could we allow some quiet time for the next speaker, and that is Dr. Samura Kamara.
Thank you, Hassan. Hassan, no one can overemphasize the importance of adequate energy supply, good for driving economic activity for everybody, including for the state, but also for improving human development, whether in terms of health or education or water systems. But let me put the record straight for my colleagues who probably are enjoying electricity now without knowing exactly how it came about, and they have not fully appreciated it. In 2007, Freetown had no more than 5 megawatts. Nationally, we had 7 megawatts. Today, we have in excess of 250 megawatts. And that's why electricity supply is relatively stable today. A greater number of people have access to electricity. Now, going forward, you'll ask yourself, what are the components of these 300 or so megawatts? First of all, you have thermal energy, which is very expensive, whether you're using HFO or using refined products. Second, we have hydro, largely supplied by Bumbuna and a few other mini hydro projects. And then, most importantly today, you have solar energy. And I will tell you, it is that energy mix that we need to rethink and go forward. And the only way you do it is by also ensuring that you put capital expenditures on where you think energy is cheaper and it is more affordable. In particular, hydro and solar. Thankfully today, whilst in the Ministry of Finance, I actually discovered and piloted what is today a household name in providing solar energy in homes, the Barefoot College. We developed it, and I don't know whether they did it, but I've used the solar college to actually light up my home in Kamalo, and as well as my village in Maurko. So the whole of Kamalo is lit up, private, not government. Unfortunately, our colleague who was running Energy for All was never able to light up Sierra Leone during his tenure.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samura Kamara. And finally, to you, retired Brigadier Julius Madavio.
I will start by stating that reliable energy supply is a necessity for economic development. And it is part of critical infrastructure, which I have mentioned already. We have to plan properly. The APC has spent over $300 million on energy supply. We started with emergency supply, and I think we are still on emergency supply. I'm not sure about the figures he's talking about in terms of power supply, but it is still epileptic, as far as I know, because I live in Freetown. We have to be properly planned as a nation. We don't just take opportunistic look at infrastructure. We have to plan. We have to decide as to what we want to support our economic development process. Definitely power generation, transmission is important, but at the moment, that is not what we have. So we want to look at sustainable energy supply, and that is where we use the energy from the sun to make sure that at least we can provide light for our homes around the country. Of course, with bigger farms, solar farms, we can actually supply energy to these villages to support the health facilities, to support education facilities like school, and for other uses. So, in my view, at this point in time, we should spend a lot of time thinking about how we are going to really embark on the use of sustainable energy to take care of our energy needs at this point in time. But when you wait until the currency devaluates by 165%, it becomes difficult. And that has happened under the leadership of Dr. Kamara. We also have an expenditure of over how many million? For 4,700 people employed by the executive, the total salary for just 4,500 exceeds that of the 10,000 policemen we have, and all of the soldiers, and even the fire force.
Thank you very much, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio. Thank you. When you mentioned the solar farms, could you expand a little bit on the scale of these solar farms, these bigger plants that you're talking about?
My brother, again, I have to refer to him because he has worked a lot in that area, spoke about individual houses. From that, we have to think about collective energy supply to be able to undertake other activities besides just provision of light in these houses. Solar farms are bigger entities wherein more solar panels are deployed and collected, and sometimes even connected to mini grids or national grids. So that is what we have to really consider at this point in time.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm so sorry?
Rebuttals.
We were doing it in the other round, but I'd like to just move now quickly to the next round, because we've not been doing that in this round, and it will be unfair to give you that privilege now. But I'll start with you now, Haji Kande Koleyumkela, and I'd like us to talk about violence and national cohesion. If you were to become president of Sierra Leone, and even in the run-up to the election that could make you president of Sierra Leone, how will you assure us that you, your party, including supporters and operatives, will have no hand in violence, and that post-election you will work for peace and national inclusivity and cohesion? I'll give you 1 minute for that.
Well, the National Grand Coalition, as we've said, is a rainbow party. We've been very inclusive in bringing people in. We've preached only peace and inclusiveness. And so far, all our activities have been non-violent. And I want to pledge to the people of Sierra Leone, we do not believe in violence. And we will continue the march towards a progressive Sierra Leone that is peaceful, where the rule of law is obeyed, and indeed we create a unified nation. That is why we are a grand coalition of progressives. We, in fact, have suffered from violence. The last 2 days, we've been bringing in people from Mile 91 to the IG. We're very grateful that the IG has intervened because the APC is harassing our people in Mile 91. We've been harassed in Cambia as well. So we are non-violent. you have to worry about the Al-Hussein and Al-Hassan that have that tendency of violence.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yumkela. We'll go to Chief Samuel Sam Sumana.
Thank you very much. Already, I stand here very proud as an example of someone who believes in nonviolence. Precisely, having been unconstitutionally removed, I decided there will be no violence in the people of this country. I resolved that I will give peace a chance, unlike what happened with South Sudan or recently Zimbabwe, because my people have suffered too long. They have suffered to a point under the Civil War, and then it was my responsibility to uphold the Constitution, seek redress, wherein I restore the dignity of the Constitution of this country from the dictatorship that, notwithstanding that, my party under the coalition of change, the party of inclusivity, wherein we have all tribes included. We believe that we have to put nation first against our individual satisfaction. It is a party that does not believe in the pettiness of tribalism. It does not believe in
Thank you very much indeed, Chief Samuel Samsumana. We'll turn now to Alhaji.
I thought I watched my time.
It's 1 minute. That was a mistake. They put a 2-minute counter.
Well, you gave me the comfort. I just wanted to go.
Okay. Our apologies. Shall we turn now to you, Alhaji Musa Tarawali? How will you assure us that you, your party, including supporters and operatives, will have no hand in violence, and that after the election, you will work for peace and national inclusivity and cohesion? 1 minute.
My party is in coalition with 3 other parties. We believe in inclusion. I have transformed a lot of youths from being violent to useful citizens. I think we are a fine example of how Sierra Leone should move forward. We have the PLP, the REFP, the PDP, and the CDP. And when I win after March, I will have most of them as my advisors. We believe in coalition. I don't believe in tribalism. I am a Mende Madingo. My wife is a Timini. We have to put the development of the country above party, above color, above tribe.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll turn now to Dr. Samora Kamara.
I think, Hassan, it's fair to say that the last 10 years, we've really enjoyed peace and tranquility. And therefore, it is important that during these elections, we try to ensure that there is peace and stability. You don't want our youth or any of them to die just for one event, which occurs on the 7th of March. We don't like that. But I think what is worrying is violence is normally associated where politicians like us who want to be heads of state are so desperate that at any cost, we must be winners and become presidents. And that's why we try to use the youth wrongfully to drive our ambition. And this is why I would want to preach against. But I would tell you that our party, the APC, is very much committed to ensure that there is peace and quiet during the elections.
Thank you very much indeed. And we'll quickly go to retired Brigadier Julius Madabio.
Well, I will start by saying that I'm a victim of APC violence. I was attacked in broad daylight in Bowtown and injured. I went to hospital and I had to be treated, and that created a lot of commotion. Having said that, violence is actually a national malaise, and that is because of the fact that law enforcement is very weak in this country. And really, when you talk about the weakness of law enforcement, it starts from State House. Certain people are favored. But you can rest assured that the SLPP, which believes that there is only one country for us as one people, we will do everything to make sure that this election is violence-free. We lost the last election under very dubious circumstances, but I followed the rule of law. We always follow the rule of law, but we are going to assert our position that the election must be free and fair, transparent, and above board.
Thank you very much indeed, and we'll turn now to Mr. Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari.
Hassan, they take this opportunity for talk to the youth them. You know, we don't use foresee, then they give youth them drugs, alcohol, for go cause mayhem, for go cause problem. My message to all the youth then in this country, not allow politicians to use you. Not allow politicians for go buy total pack for you and tell you to go attack other person. In Pekin, in fact, you know they work out in Pekin where they go campaign. In Pekin, and either they na host or they oversee. Do ya? Sierra Leone will not get APC Sierra Leone, will not get SLPP Sierra Leone, will not get ADP Sierra Leone. Now one Sierra Leone will get. Will not get any northern or eastern or southern Sierra Leone. Now one Sierra Leone. So me government and me political party stand very firm for tell Sierra Leoneans and say we they conform with the rule of law and support the police for law get a real credible, free and fair election.
Thank you very much indeed. So you've all spoken and we've given you a chance a few times to challenge each other. Now, I'd like to give you all 3 minutes each so that you can remind the people of Sierra Leone about the good plans that you say you have for them and why you are the man for the position of the presidency of Sierra Leone. And in the order in which you balloted for this particular round, start with the candidate of the NGC, Dr. Kande Kole Yumkela.
Sierra Leoneans, I have presented myself as a servant to you to lead your nation. My party believes in an inclusive society that is free, fair, and just, where every individual has an opportunity to unleash their potential. I pledge to you today that my interest in leading you is to work for the common man, to ensure that we have jobs for the youth, that the poor market woman that labors every day in the market to sell their wares can go back home and feed their families, that the many unemployed young men and women have the skills that will make them employable, that we build an educational system that we're proud of, that will make us competitive around the world, that in fact, our medical services are robust enough, good enough, that yes, we can do good diagnosis in our country, that we have good enough medical services here to treat our people instead of flying them overseas. Salon people, I dey talk to una. I don't come, I don't get no baggage. I don't thief nobody money in here, but I come with experience. I come with sababu and goodwill where we need for make the country better for una. We can't forfeit for the common man. For let that common man get in daily living, make it get respect. Waiting na respect. Now where youth man wake na morning, able left chop money in a house. Able give him picking school fee for go school. And where in wife sick, able send an hospital. Waiting na respect. Now where that woman self gets income, he get job, he able help in family, but in self land book. Waiting na respect. Now where we dey ensure say we young girl there, no go get belly in school. Waiting na respect. Now where teacher doing work well. Where then we pay and well. Where we train and well. For educate we picking them for the future. And yes, where we the politician, no they no more they thief una money. They thief una money, they help we and we family no more. They take we minerals there, sell and cheap because somebody give we money for we safe no more. Now that make we cannot politics. The National Grand Coalition want change for una. We don't get the same system for 56 years. Where one do one, it pass on to the other. Una try something new. New driver, new motorcar. New motorcar, new driver. We NGC, we say united we stand united. You touch one, you touch we all. And we were the suffer, now we boku. We were one good school, now we plenty. We were one good job, now we plenty. Let God help we all, as we can say in Islam, Salli ala Muhammad.
Thank you very much. You have 3 minutes. The next candidate will go to for his closing remarks. 3 minutes is the candidate of the Alliance Democratic Party, Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari.
Me Salon Fambulem. I want to tell you, say, tonight, we get few of me, Sierra Leonean brothers, that we want to be president. But when you look at this stage, you clearly know, say, they all don't be actors, political actors. They all don't be vice president, former minister, former head of state, former minister, former minister. They all don't serve this country and don't fail this country. The only person, absolutely only person, we get the tenacity for make this country, now Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari. And one thing I want to tell you, me fumble them. You know, waiting they drive me. Some people ask me waiting they drive me. I meet one Abu Conte. Abu Conte tell me, say, him prefer for be dog and live in America. Now the first thing that tears run me eye for since when me daddy been die. He say him prefer. Since when me daddy die na the tears. He say him prefer. And honestly, while somebody, a big man, a 40-some-year-old man, they decide for say he want be dog in America. He say because dog in America they eat fine, when they sick then they go there in hospital. And it's so sickening. Where you see mortal man, a 40-something-year-old man, up to now, that now motivates me for make I can change this country. None of them be they talk for the people of this country. For the past 3-4 years, the only voice in this country, now Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari. The only opposition in this country, now Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari. They all been just sit down and been quiet. They all been muted. But now, 1 month, 2 month election, they all get all the experience. They all want knock chest for can lead this country. But believe in me, the Sierra Leonean people, they know better. The Sierra Leonean, they know the one way we don't stick for them in this country. They know what we don't they talk for them. The one way ready for sacrifice. We don't go all out for make this country a better country. Me go deliver Salon. I go come make Sierra Leone. You go be proud for be a Sierra Leonean. I go come make a Sierra Leone where if you want work, you go get work. I go come make a Sierra Leone where if you want business opportunity, you go able to go get money in a bank for make business. Not to just foreigners then we go Canada this country here for come, then come better themselves. Where Sierra Leone don't be third-class citizen. Fourth-class citizen. It's a no. Now Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari presidency. I know they accept that, and I tell you this, me go can deliver that. And lastly, fellow Sierra Leoneans, I know for sure when I don't follow in this country, I don't go all over the country. All I ask you now is, now number 2 at the end of the ballot, just go try for vote for the ADP and Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari all over the
very
country.
much.
I thank you very much.
And we turn now to Alhaji Musa Tarawali of the Citizens Democratic Party.
The people of Sierra Leone, today, I don't make one understand that Mina an inspired, innovative, experienced, and visionary leader. We don't study the problems of Sierra Leone and develop a well-defined plan for this country in development. Me promise Sona that me go make the people of Sierra Leone. President Kaba, the late, come, he done the war. President Nkrumah, he don't make some roads. Me, they can make the people of Sierra Leone. For make them become productive, with a sense of responsibility, for pay tax, for make we move from the donor-driven economy to sustainable development. I want to assure you that me not to the lawyer, me not to the doctor, me not to the engineer, but I get the vision we will develop Sierra Leone. And once we people are empowered for make they own the process, be responsible to their country, and become the beneficiaries of the development process, then poor go down in this country. This country, none of we no go make am without God. Therefore, we forget the fear of God and be responsible to our people. We for lead with people, for worship God, so that God will guide with development process. This country, in politicking, it removed God from the process and entrenched the politics, enshrines, tribalism, color, parties above the development of the people. That is why I believe, say, we therefore establish God as the platform and driving force who will guide we all. We want lead una today. And once God give we the wisdom and understanding for champion this country in development process, then we go achieve it. We people don't suffer a lot. They're not able to afford 3 meals. They're not able to afford good health facility, good education for them people. We papa them, now the missions we educate them. Sierra Leone be known as the destination for education. And now the missions, both Islamic and Christian missions,
Thank
now the
you very much, Alhaji Musa Tarali. Let's turn now to the candidate of the Coalition for Change, Alhaji Chief Samuel Sam Sumana. 3 minutes for your closing remark.
Thank you. Fellow Sierra Leoneans, stand before you today. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve as Vice President of this from 2007 to 2012. And thank you again for granting me the opportunity to serve you from 2012. But for the unconstitutionality of the present regime that obstructed your vote, taking away your vote, in which Section 5 of the 1991 Constitution, wherein sovereignty belongs to the state, was thwarted by the present regime. I say to you, it was my pledge that I would uphold and maintain the Constitution of this country. So I decided that my country had gone through a whole lot. Instead of going back to the bush, like our unfortunate brothers did, instead, I decided to take the bitter pill and put nation first and restore the dignity of the Constitution of this country. Because you have suffered too long. It doesn't make sense for my individual satisfaction to wage war again because of what was done to me. I today stand before all of you that I had to run away to give peace a chance, unlike what happened in South Sudan or in Zimbabwe, to make sure that you stay in peace. And I went and fought to bring back peace to the country that we all love. Today, as I stand here, I want you to give me the opportunity that experience being the best master among all of us contestants. I have served ISO, and I'll bring to you the issue of good governance. I'll make sure that there is transparency and accountability during my tenure of office. I'll make sure that there is equality for women in this country. No more 30, 70%, for equal opportunity for all, and for the youth of this nation. And I say to all of you that the disabled will be recognized in this country. I further say to you that I pledge that I will do my best to make sure that the social services of this country are addressed, making sure utilities are provided, making sure that electricity and water supply will be things of the past. I promise and I pledge that if you give me the opportunity again, I'll make sure that we revive the economy of this country. No more shall our youth say again, "Cry Bobodio," but they will get up and be productive citizens of. And I promise that what we stand for as a nation, we shall exalt when we all put hands on deck, as we say in the coalition for change, nation first, against our individual sacrifice.
Thank you very much. We'll turn now To Dr. Samura Kamara of the All People's Congress.
Thank you, Aslan. We family them. Today, a big day for we all. Don't listen to 6 of we want to be presidents of this country or lead UNA to the next 5 years. I want to tell UNA say, since the war ended, we signed peace in 2002, Kalu don't make enough progress or move forward from what cause the civil war in this country. In the process, we don't suffer a terrible disease, don't suffer a terrible environmental disaster, don't suffer other forces. We make them trying to find ways for finance our economic development. But I can tell you one thing, and I also would all know that the greatest development we don't see in Australia during the last 10 years of the APC government. Now the APC no more, I don't make sure today we don't get well over 1,700 kilometers of road. And we'll continue for build more roads. Because the colleagues are waiting up now, none of them know they drive the Mosokana Gota, then they drive na the good road. But they're still blind for CC, nothing will not do, and road development no matter. We don't try for improve the energy sector or make sure say energy available to everybody in the country. We'll not get there yet, but certainly we will try for move for expand energy supply. Similarly, in the health sector, the lesson we learn from Ebola, it tell we say we need for do more on the health sector for make them responsive and resilient. We need for do more for involve with local communities. We see how partnership with the local communities, good partnership with international development partners will carry way forward. We need for do more in the water system, even though today, almost all the major towns in this country get water system over the last 10 years. In education, we don't build more schools, bigger enrollment. 4 universities today as composed to the time we only get 2. I think we don't do very well. Teachers are better remunerated. In the security sector, the police, the army, and all other security apparatus, they all don't try for improve the operational qualities and moving forward. Yes, we have to do more. And that's why it is good when I get somebody like me, we'll get experience, we honestly appreciate what the government don't do before, not for deny like a blind, and then for try for move forward and do more together with UNA. I need UNA support. This is my Sierra Leone, your house Sierra Leone.
We'll now call upon the final presidential candidate at this presidential debate tonight to give his final pitch to the people of Sierra Leone. Retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio of the Sierra Leone People's Party.
The people of Sierra Leone, I have served this nation as your head of state, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and your first Chief of Defense Staff. So I have the unique experience of running a state, and I did so when it was at war. If you want to hit the ground running, then I am your best candidate. Me, not to apprentice. I have come from a disciplined background. I promise to provide credible, disciplined leadership to help us move the development process in this country. With every modesty, I am one of the most enduring political figures of our time and the most popular at this point in time. Many remember and think and call me the father of democracy because I promised democracy for this country and I delivered. I promised peace for this country and I delivered. So when I make my promises, it is against a credible track record that you can rely on. I have fought for this nation. When many were hiding, I fought for you. I also have a credible plan to save this nation, and I have a credible team to help me execute that plan. I have said this election is about the future of our great nation, Sierra Leone. The future of our children, the future of our grandchildren. The people of this country are suffering immensely under the weight of rampant corruption and mismanagement of the APC. So if you want democratic change to end their suffering, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want free education for our children, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want jobs for our youths roaming the streets, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want an end to rampant corruption, indiscipline, and lawlessness, where nobody is above the law, and I mean nobody is above the law, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want good hospitals, good roads, electricity for all Sierra Leoneans, better salaries for our teachers, nurses, police, military, prison officers, and all public sector workers, then vote Julius Maada Bio. If you want efficient political and economic management of the state and its natural resources for the benefit of all Sierra Leoneans, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want inclusive government, inclusive development, where everyone is in and no one is out,
thank you very much.
Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. The hopes, the aspiration, and the vision of 6 of your 16 candidates for president. Over the next few weeks, we shall have the youth debate and the women's debate that will be coming to you live from the British Council. It is my hope that tonight's events have been enlightening for you as they have been for me. So I want to say to all the people of Sierra Leone, Una Tenki, Mina Una host, Hassan Haruni, live from the Buntumani Conference Center, Freetown, Sierra Leone. Good night.